Justin Potts, Potsy, mate.
Brother?
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I've been thinking about this one, and I'd like to, if it's okay with you, I'd like to dedicate this to your mum, who obviously you've recently lost, just as a tribute to her and raising such a wonderful man and friend to me. Would that be okay?
Absolutely, mate.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. That's sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. You're welcome. And within the context of that, obviously I haven't known you very long. I met you a couple of months ago through a mutual friend.
Yeah.
And we instantly hit it off.
Yeah.
And we've been almost inseparable since then, whether it's breath work and yoga down Burleigh Beach and sunrises. Some wonderful conversations and, support and love around this.
Yeah.
One of the things that you have shared with me following your mum's passing is her path in life.
Yeah.
Some of the challenges that the patterns that she might have been stuck in.
Mm-hmm.
And what I see within you is a really clearly different path.
Yeah.
And I wanted to acknowledge that because one of the qualities that I most admire in a human being is overcoming adversity, becoming the victor and not the victim.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a really impressive characteristic for someone to have. But then even more so, there's a rare breed of human that turn their adversity into a gift for others. And I see that as true alchemy. It's like the hurts and the pains and, the suffering that we went through and overcoming that and then sharing that with others to be a blessing for them, for the world, for humanity. That's what I see in you. And I really wanted to take the time before we start to acknowledge that within you and thank you for being that gift to the world.
Oh, that's very sweet of you, mate. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Here we go. The boys in green.
Yeah.
Let's go,
Got
mate.
the memo, bro.
Looking fabulous.
You
Might
too.
I add. Thanks,
Appreciate it.
brother. Thank you.
I did my hair just specially for you, mate.
Mate, I loved your podcast. I told you I loved your podcast with Dean. For listeners that haven't listened to that, I'd really recommend
DMs
it.
with Dean. Yeah.
DNMs with Dean. You provided so much value within that podcast. You just continue to deliver and serve. Where I was thinking of starting this one from was you spoke quite extensively. You said that most people think performance is about what they do, but it's really about what's happening beneath the surface, what's actually running most people's lives unconsciously. And this sort of has delved into my own studies of Carl Jung and Carl Jung's famous quote about until the unconscious becomes conscious, it will direct your life and you'll call it fate.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain to me and listeners how the unconscious or subconscious dictates our lives and what we can do about it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's interesting because we all hear people say things like, and we're guilty ourselves, right? That's it. I'm off the booze. Going to stop eating that crap food. I'm not going to let that thing get to me next time. I just need to be calm. But then the mind seems to have a mind of its own.
Mm.
The person who says, I'm not going to drink anymore, 3 hours later, they're sitting in the bottle shop drive-through going, what happened?
Were you following me around 10 years ago, were you?
Yeah, I'm just highly intuitive, mate. And so the disparity is the argument between the conscious and the subconscious mind. And so the subconscious mind is in control of, heart functioning, organ gland functioning, immunity, but it also stores all your memories, and it's like a DVD library. And it's an incredibly powerful computer that goes light years beyond the power and the scope of our conscious mind. And there's around about 98% subconscious control and about 2% conscious control. So 2% of me saying, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to do that. But if the programming and the conditioning in the subconscious is not addressed, then we're going to become incongruent. And then our video won't match our audio, as I like to say. We're saying that we want to be or do or show up in a certain way, but then the sabotage kicks in because the subconscious is out of alignment with that we want to change. So if we, quote I always use, if we don't go within, we're going to go without, because we're in the outside world trying to force with willpower and effort.
Yes.
But that only takes us so far. So there's that subconscious programming that sabotages our capacity to change. But then there's this other thing called that the subconscious mind, if you cut yourself or you become sick, your subconscious works really hard immediately to go into a healing response because it wants to get you back in the game.
Yes.
It wants to keep its primary operator, the subconscious, its primary functioning is survival and keeping you in the game. So then if I have been drinking and smoking and not looking after myself and I step in with my conscious mind and decide I'm going to make a change, my subconscious mind is wired for survival and its primary means to do that is through the familiar.
Yes.
And so the subconscious goes, but wait a minute, we've been drinking and smoking and eating crap.
Yes.
And so we've survived doing that. So we must keep doing that because that change is considered as a threat to me. And we may not survive because it's uncertain and change. So when we have those two components at a subconscious level, 98% in control, now it kind of makes sense to a lot of people why, in spite of our best intentions, we keep getting pulled out of our lane, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense. Yeah, it resonates strongly with my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone's, because that we can't get away with that. That's how we're wired and programmed, yeah?
So it's the default programming for all of us.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so how do we change, instead of trying to change our conscious mind and then falling back into the pattern and wondering why we can get stuck in these loops, these patterns of what's familiar, how can we go about shifting the subconscious and actually redirecting our life?
That's the obvious question, right? So unfortunately not through therapy. The biggest complaint I get from people is that, it's not to discredit therapists at all, there are good ones out there, but the model is about sitting down and talking about what happened and how that made you feel. It could be therapy, counseling, psychology. And what that does is it starts to stir up the emotions and the unresolved stuff. And then people leave, my biggest complaint, people saying that they went to therapy for years, counseling, and they left feeling worse than when they arrived because it's stirring all that stuff up, but there's no real resolution. So what I've dedicated myself for over 24 odd years is trying to find out what we can do to reprogram that subconscious part that can then become in alignment with the conscious intentions and what we want for ourselves, so that then it's effortless and automatic. Because when you think about cleaning your teeth in the morning, you don't have to wake up and motivate yourself and convince yourself that it's really important and I should do it.
Yes.
Because your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are congruently aligned.
Right.
And so it just happens.
Yes.
So wherever in life we find that that's not effortless and we're not automatically showing up and producing the results we want, that's because of the subconscious program. So in the subconscious, we have emotions that are unresolved from the past. Unresolved anger, resentment, anxiety. And when we get triggered, it's because of the unresolved emotions from the past that are getting ignited. But when they're not being triggered, they're still there. They're just not intense where we feel them.
And are most of these from our childhood? I've heard, it's spoken about this 0 to 7 are our imprint years.
We don't have a conscious mind yet. Yeah.
We're very neuroplastic. So whatever we're exposed to is very normalized for us, no matter how extreme it is.
Yeah.
And so we're making sense of the world through those years. And so even when patterns of behavior, particularly from those caring for us, are destructive or harmful, they become very normalized for us. And so is that the subconscious, they land in the subconscious and plant, and then we carry that until a time that we can resolve that or analyze that or remove them.
Yeah, so with the work I do, when I'm working on the subconscious programs, let's take someone with chronic anxiety. I've seen a massive increase with people with anxiety in the last 14 years or so.
Yes.
Huge increase.
Yes.
It's very common.
Yes.
So what I do, and it's really hard for people to believe, and I even say if I was in your shoes, I'd find it really hard to believe myself.
Yes.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to completely eliminate the whole history of the anxiety so that it's just not there to access anymore and you won't be feeling it anymore. Understandably skeptical, right?
Yes.
So what I then do is I need
especially if they may have seen a therapist for some time, even
which a lot of them have, decades, some of my clients.
Absolutely.
And yet their anxiety is worse than ever.
Right.
Does the word refund come to mind?
Yeah, yeah.
So when I'm going to clear an emotion or a belief from somebody, I need to find out from their subconscious what age they were when they first felt it. Because no child's born needing therapy, yet there's a first day where you first feel angry, frustrated, grief, insecurity, anxiety. And when I test, it's always around the age of 2 or 3, which is why they call it the terrible twos. because that's when kids start feeling emotions and start pushing back with resistance. And they were getting loved unconditionally up until that point. Now there's boundaries. And so the subconscious goes, what? I was getting loved, now I'm not. What does that mean? Oh, I'm not lovable. And now there's a program or a belief that sets in. And then they have emotions that set in. And then from the first day someone's felt anxiety to today, how many times have they felt it? Potentially thousands of times. Well, that's like a backpack with thousands of pebbles representing a specific event where they felt that emotion that they're carrying that creates a heavy load. If I give you a heavy backpack to carry for the day, there's times in your day where you're annoyed about it and times where you're not even aware of it.
Yes.
But it's still taking an effect on you.
Sure. Yes.
And so these emotions, when we're working with the subconscious, we must address unresolved emotion.
Yes.
And belief systems.
Yes.
That are determining how we're showing up and the lens that we view life through, because it's the beliefs that determine the thoughts you have.
It's the beliefs that determine the thoughts that you have.
If I have a belief that says I'm not good enough, that's going to create thoughts to validate and prove that I'm not good enough by saying, see, you should have done that. And because you didn't, that's because you're not good enough.
So we'll see evidence, whatever the belief is, whether it's true
going to find
or
proof.
not, we'll find proof.
Henry Ford, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So that the belief's going to determine the thinking.
Yes.
It's going to lead to the decisions and then the actions and behaviors that will generate the result that is directly in alignment with the belief. So reality is a construct of what we believe is possible. There's nothing in your life that you have achieved that you didn't think was possible. And so people would like to think, when I challenge people and say, well, we need to address this belief you have that I'm not good enough. And, oh, no, I don't believe I'm not good enough. That's the conscious mind talking.
Yes.
But when we test, we find out that, yes, it's there and we need to eradicate it. And then I ask them, can you see evidence in your life in the past that might validate the concern that you're not good enough? It's like, oh, absolutely. Well, there it is. And so unless we address that, it's like if you want to design a 3D landscape design image for a backyard and the best you've got on your computer is Microsoft Excel. It's a pretty shit result you're going to get, right?
Yeah, pretty ordinary.
Now, does that mean the computer shit?
No.
It means the programming is inadequate.
Yes.
So people are out there trying to create results with their computer,
yes,
their nervous system, their subconscious, their mind, their body, with this outdated programming. And ignorance is not bliss, and time does not heal all wounds.
Yes.
If you ignore a problem in your business, what happens to the problem?
Yes. Yes.
It's bigger. So this programming, unless we address it, then it's going to continually create those thoughts that leads to those decisions, and then the results and the threshold of what we'd like to think we can go beyond, but we keep getting stuck below.
Limits us.
It's a long-winded answer to a short question, bro. Sorry.
No, I love it. No, and it really resonates with me. My question about it, you mentioned when you're 2 or 3 years old. I understand exactly how my not enoughness came to be.
Yeah.
But it was unconscious to me for most of my life. It was playing out. It was dictating the results of my life, and I was calling it fate, right?
Yeah.
And when I became aware of it, I was only aware of me having it, no one else. As I start to talk about it more and more, I recognize that if it's not universal, it's pretty bloody close to it. That we all have some version of, during childhood, a belief forming that we are not enough. And then that resulting in a perpetual searching for external validation for our love or for our enoughness. And in I can only speak on behalf of my journey and my experience with that, but exhaustion, people-pleasing, self-abandonment, time and time again, it just completely dysregulated. And I think creating habits that resonated with that not enoughness. So for me, Justin, how I was able to, the defining moment that changed all of that for me was, you could call it divine intervention. It was really sitting with my relationship with God and asking, you mean to tell me that I've fucked up all these times, that I've made all these mistakes, that when my ex-wife really needed me, my children really needed me at times, that I wasn't there for them, that I was in my spiral of victimhood and escaping and using alcohol or cannabis at times, or other forms of escaping, to not sit with myself and really take responsibility of the things that I needed to in life. Conversation with God to say, you mean to tell me that with all of that, with all of my cowardice, with all of my running away, like with all of these patterns of dysregulation, you're still choosing me to be your child, to have this mission, to do your work here? And a resounding yes, I choose you. And then it led me to understand, well, if, as Yeshua says, the kingdom of heaven is within you, the divine is within you, if God is within me as he is within you, as he is within all of us, how could I not be enough?
Mm-hmm.
And then if I am enough, one, fuels me with the most incredible energy, like motivation, clarity, faith.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I grew up Catholic and I was told to have faith. I was told to believe in a God or to pray a God out there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was never a relationship for me. It was always something that was out there. And I had, as a teenager, like I had enough testosterone flooding through my body to know one thing for sure. I was a sinner. And in church, it was like, well, sinning, you go to hell. It was almost confirming my not enoughness.
You know what the word sin means? In the etymology or the root phoneme of the word sin means...
Maybe, but tell me.
It means to miss the mark.
Yes, yes.
So you tried something and you didn't get it, so you just try again. But the churches made it like you're going to hell because they wanted to create fear, because then you'll do as you're told. But go on.
Yes. I've recently read the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and she talks about sin being where we live out of alignment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So beautiful. It's not this moral judgment that we place on ourselves. We're all
You're condemned
sinners.
and going to hell now.
Yeah. How preposterous.
Yeah.
Built on shame, right? Or perpetuating a feeling of shame, which, you know, I had a lot of shame about the behaviour patterns within my dysregulation. Shame never brought out the best in me.
No.
I don't think shame brings out the best in anyone.
Not at all.
Shame brings out the worst in us.
That's right.
And I think it's love and forgiveness and awareness that really allows us to forgive, let go, really let go, and then see ourselves and each other through the lens of clarity of we are all human beings. And with that comes the behaviours of humanness, and we all have incredible potential. Like humans are amazing.
We're all connected. You know, there's a Native American Indian proverb that says no tree would be so foolish as to have two branches argue amongst themselves.
Yeah, beautiful.
We're all part of the same tree.
We are.
There is no separation, but it just looks that way through the tangible reality, you know.
So within that context, Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth, he says the greatest achievement of humanity is not its work of art, science, or technology, but the recognition of its own dysfunction, its own madness. And after reading that, it became evident to me, and I think I've discussed this with you previously, that the question that faces our generation, the work of our generation is answering the question, well, what do we do about it? And I think we're at a time in history, particularly with AI adoption, job disruptions, robotics, that we're going to go through an enormous acceleration. So the question then becomes, like with the dysregulation within society, as within so without, so on an individual level, but also on a societal level and a global level, do we want the acceleration to be more of what we have, the dysregulation, or do we want to define with intention what life could be, what society could be, harmony, love, forgiveness, the interconnectedness of all things, the sacredness of all life. Your work very specifically contributes to a better future for your clients, and then the ripple effect for their families, for their communities, for their businesses. How do you hold on to hope for humanity, and what's your prayer for humanity, if I can ask it in that
Well, I don't have a hope for humanity, because hope is like trying and wishing. So if you're having a party and you invite me and I say I'll try and get there, are you confident? You're not confident.
Okay, cool.
So to try is to fail with honor.
Right.
So I'm going to try. Okay. We'll see. So I don't have a hope for humanity, because hope is similar to try. Hoping, but it's like I have this fervent hope, and it's like the word decision in the Latin root form means to cut off from any other possibility. I've decided that, and that's where I'm going. Yes, there'll be challenges, and I'll grow and learn along the way, but that's where I'm going. Yeah. If you're on a plane tomorrow, and I say, what are the chances of you getting on the flight? I'll be there. What do you mean chances? Oh, but what if the traffic? What if you're tired? I'll be on that plane. But when you talk to someone about losing weight, they go into that's committed languaging. They go into interested language. Oh, yeah, it's trying. It's hard. The kids are demanding. So I don't have a hope for humanity. I have not an expectation. I have it's almost like it's already occurred within me. So if nothing happens without intention. Before whoever created these two green shirts, created them, it was an idea in a mind.
These fabulous green shirts.
Fabulous green shirts. It was an idea in someone's mind.
Yes.
No one does anything or creates anything without an intention.
Yes.
Unfortunately, most people's intention is they intend to not be fat or not be stressed. They're focusing on what they don't want, and they wonder why they keep having it happen, because it's the self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
So I just have this vision in my mind that there is a shift with consciousness in humanity. More people are waking up and becoming aware of what's going on, and that how we're tracking isn't really helpful and effective. And so I just see more and more people waking up and less inclined to follow the herd, and to really look within and start to create more connection. And I just see that that's exactly what's going to happen on a much bigger scale. And not everyone's going to be enrolled and follow that path, because it's about levels of consciousness.
Yes.
The level of consciousness of someone who might be a criminal is at a certain level. And then we go into these, let's say the levels of consciousness of the victim. So the victim might be a little bit high because they're not a criminal, but they're a slightly higher level of consciousness. And this isn't about a better person or a worse person.
Sure.
But then the level of the victim is that life happens to me. Is it any wonder I'm upset because she said this, right? But it's not because of what was said or done. It's about what it triggers and unravels internally that we then blame on the outside. But then that gets exhausting, and people are sick of being the victim and being at the effect of life and situations. And so then they may get into self-help, right? Maybe they listen to some podcasts.
Do you know a good one?
Yeah, not yet. and then so now, because they want to step into by me, right? So that's the next level of consciousness, by me. So if it's going to be, it's up to me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to forge a path. But let's say we've got a river that flows down like this and it meanders along. The path of least distance is right through the middle. So you arrive with your bull, you're in by me. I'm going to make it happen. And I'm working kind of against the laws of nature, and we're just going to forge a path here. And so you show up with your bulldozers and your concrete trucks and everything. Guess how difficult that is?
Very.
Time consuming. But then you see some dude just get in the river and just lie on his back and just floats down. It's a longer journey, but it's the path of least resistance. So that's when we step into through me. And that's a higher level of consciousness. And through me is where we understand that we're working with the laws of nature, with the universe. And so we need to, things like, utilizing the principle of manifesting and setting it. And a lot of people are using these principles and have seen The Secret and are setting their intentions, but a lot of them are using it out of alignment with how it's going to be effective, because one idea, for example, is that they are wanting to manifest or achieve or create something. So what that's doing is it's giving off the intention of not having. I'm in a frequency of I don't have and I want. So what's going to go around is going to come around, and I'm going to continually be wanting and not having.
Yes.
But when we step in and we start harnessing those laws of the universe and how things really work, then what happens, we're working with that, and then that's working through us, and then things just seem to unfold and it becomes effortless and magic happens. So it's these levels of consciousness that we can get stuck on, and we can, ships in the harbor are safest, but that's not what they're built for.
Yes.
And we can see when the tide comes in, we look around and see the other ships and when it goes out, so we tend to look around and see what others are doing and tend to follow suit somewhat with the social norms. But yet, how's that working?
Because that's familiar?
Because it's familiar, yes, but also because that's what others are doing, so that it makes sense for me to do that too.
Right. So that lends itself to a really interesting point about forging our own path, really being empowering, has some element of loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have an inherent want or desire to
If you
belong.
say so.
Of loneliness. Oh, good. I like that.
How your labour experience becomes your
I
experience.
like that a lot. I like that challenge.
Clients say to me, that's going to be too hard. I'll never be able to do that. That's impossible. That's going to take forever. My response is, if you say so. Because if you say so, you're programming your subconscious to do so.
Yes.
And loneliness has nothing to do with proximity to people.
Yeah.
You can take someone desperately lonely, put them in a room with their favorite people, and they're still lonely.
Yeah.
It's an inside job. So the variables of why we're lonely, angry, anxious, upset, frustrated, whatever, is nothing to, it's not because of the outside, it's because of an internal response to the outside. So if someone gets lonely in any setting, then there's some programming and emotions that they've got unresolved that are creating that experience, and then it's validated for them because their brain goes, well, is it any wonder because, I'm isolated here, or they didn't get back to me.
So the belief systems, again, dictating our
the
reality.
emotions.
What did you say to me in the car about reality, Justin?
Reality?
Yeah.
What were we talking
You don't
about?
see reality through...
Oh, we don't see life the way life is. We see it the way we are. So if you're having a shit day, life looks very differently than when you're having a really good day, but it's the same life. And so if that's true, then we also don't see people the way that people are. We see people the way we are. So if I see someone at an event and they remind me, subconsciously, haven't even linked it up yet, of my teacher at school that was a asshole, now all of a sudden I have this negative feeling towards this person, and now I'm not drawn to them, or maybe I'm finding reasons to judge them because of their whatever. They could be my new best friend.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing them the way they are. I'm seeing them the way I am.
Yes.
I hear a list of scathing comments that someone says about you. It tells me nothing about you, but it tells me a lot about them.
Yeah. Yes. So why, as a default, why are we programmed until we can do the work on ourselves? Why are we programmed to sort of buy into other people's perceptions of us?
Because when we're young, we're told what not to do, what to be careful of, what to avoid, what to watch out for. My mum, and I really appreciate what you said at the top of the session here, she used to say to me things like, don't go and play on the street. Guess what my brain thought?
Go play in the street.
So if you type in Google, I don't want to see any gyms, what are you going to see?
Gyms.
So when we're young, we're told what to watch out for, what to be careful of. And then so that habituates the mind to focus on what we don't want, what to watch out for. And then as people are focusing on not wanting to be fat, that will slow metabolism. Subconscious goes, fat, how do we do that? Slow metabolism. Crave bad foods, excuses to not exercise, self-fulfilling prophecy.
Sure.
So going back, when we're young, we're programmed in that way. And that programming then determines how we then, so if the mind's been programmed a certain way, it can be reprogrammed.
Yes.
And so it goes back to our conditioning. There was another point I was going to add there, but I can't. It's just slipped out of my mind. But the programming and the conditioning then creates this situation where our mind is wired in a certain way. But if we're going to rewire it, which we can, we have to address the subconscious components. Again, it always comes back to that. Because unless you do, you're just going to keep seeing the same results and situations reflecting back. Now, if you're driving down the road and you hope to not see yellow cars, I don't want to see yellow cars, your subconscious is going to notice them.
Right.
And you're going to see a lot. Because we can all relate to when we get a new one.
Yes.
Whether it's secondhand or brand new, we're out driving and we see them on the road everywhere.
Yes.
So that highlights that the subconscious takes what we think about, doesn't get whether we don't want it or want it, just gets that's what we're thinking about, and it creates more of it in our reality.
So the importance of programming, particularly as in our childhood, I'm a father, I've got two beautiful children.
I know, gorgeous children.
Thank you. 5 and 8 they are. What advice would you have for me trying to parent them as intentionally as possible, knowing that they're also living in a time very different to my own childhood? You know, I grew up largely tech-free. You know, if it's go and play, I'm bored, go outside. I go run around. We got parks just down the road. All the kids in the neighbourhood, we'd go down. We'd have one footy or one cricket bat and ball, and we play for hours, right? Beautiful way to spend your childhood. It's one of the reasons why we moved here to Burleigh, just the access to nature, whether it's the playgrounds or the parks or the beach or Talabudra, like it's exquisite. And seeing children's imagination and energy and just to be able to explore there brings out something so pure and so beautiful within them, and I think also has a wonderful grounding and calming effect on them.
Absolutely.
Whereas when there's rainy days, we try and go to some of the, the bounce. Or there's another couple of indoor playgrounds similar to it. But if we're home, we all get a little bit of cabin fever over the weekend. The kids will want to watch technology. Behaviour is largely affected by it. So the importance of sort of programming my children, and I'll add one more thing to this before I listen to your answer. I know that great people of history often had incredible mentors. And I recently learned that Alexander the Great, do you know who his main mentor was?
What?
Aristotle.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty reasonable mentor, isn't it?
It's not bad. Yeah, it's not terrible. And I just wonder, without that type of mentoring about philosophy, would he have just been Alexander the Good or Alexander the Very Good, right?
Yeah.
So I want to be the most embodied, aware, loving, kind parent that I can possibly be. And I don't
congratulations, you've already achieved that.
Thanks, brother.
You can't want something you've already got, bro.
Thanks, brother. Thank you.
Yeah.
What would be your advice for me with the understanding that you have on imprint, on programming for my two children?
It's interesting because you used the word boredom and, it's raining and we're inside. This reminds me, I was working with a client a while ago and she said to me, I was on this long journey with my friend, a couple of people, long journey. The terrain was such that I was really bored. And I said, no, you weren't bored. I said, you were being boring.
Oh, that's so good.
And she looked at me understandably very confused. What do you mean I was being boring? I said, we're human beings and we're not human doings. You were being boring, so you created boredom and then you blamed the world outside of you for it. Everything's an inside job. I'm angry at the world because my chest is sore, and when I look closely, I realize I'm doing it to myself. So I said to her, let's just imagine that I offered you $1 million and I would give it to you if you could go on that same drive again. Same terrain, same distance, same people. But this time, we could have a camera on you and we would see that you weren't bored at all. And if you could do that, we'll give you $1 million. And all of a sudden, she started to sit up a bit.
Yeah.
Her being shifted.
Yeah.
Because of the inspiration and the motivation of the money, which is illusory.
Yes.
But it highlights that the brain can't tell the difference between imagination and reality, right? So when you're worrying about something in advance and you're worried now, why are you worried now? Because your nervous system thinks it's happening now. It doesn't get that you're worried about a future thing. It takes everything as now, even past. So I said, so would you take that challenge? And she said, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, it's such a shame though, isn't it? And she said, what do you mean? And I said, well, you won't get the money. What do you mean? Well, the terrain, the people, And she said, no. And I said, well, then what would you do? And she said, and she came out with about 6 answers immediately.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Because she was being inspired, motivated.
Yes.
The innate wisdom just goes, it's so obvious what to do. So most people wait for the motivation before they get started. But just getting started creates the motivation.
Yes.
The motivation shows up at some point by just getting started. That's why it's the starting that stops most people. And so my answer to you is I would get them to realize that anything that they are feeling it's not about pinning it on the outside. It's about they're not being resourceful.
Yes.
If you said to them, like, if I offered you this result, we go to Wet and Wild next weekend or whatever, if you can find a way right now, even though it's raining outside, to create fun, even if we could only use chopsticks, right, or whatever, or anything in the house, what would you do? Now all of a sudden they step into a different being.
Yes.
And then they have access to different insight, innate wisdom, creativity from the subconscious that goes, what about this? What about that? What about this? And it becomes bleedingly obvious. Now this relates also to Gandhi saying, be the change you want to see in the world. The skeptic says, oh, I'll believe it when I see it. The believer says, I'll see it when I believe it. But in reality, I've learned that you'll see it when you be it.
Mm.
So who do I need to be to create what I want to create? I want this drive. I suspect it might be a little bit beige, so I want to enjoy it. So who do I need to be to enjoy it?
Mm.
You know? And so that you're, instead of waiting to hopefully get a goal, that I can have that, and then I can feel this, and then I can be that. It's the other way around. Who do I need to be to bring to the journey? Source before course.
Source before course.
Being versus doing. Come from versus get to.
Yes. This is be, do, have. Yeah.
Who do I need to be? That then by being that version of me, it becomes very obvious what I need to do. Whereas before, when I'm over here in that other state, I'm struggling to figure out what to do.
Yes.
And trying to work out with the intellect, rational, analytical mind what to do. But when you step into the being, your innate wisdom goes, here's what we'll do.
Yeah, yeah.
Mail
yes.
gets delivered and you just take inspired action now.
Yes, yes, innate wisdom. It's so true. I see it with my children. When they come now, they go, I'm bored, Dad. Like, can I watch TV? I said, no. I said, but I'm bored. I said, good. And I just leave it. And so often, Potsy, so often I'll go out and check on them and they're doing something absolutely wonderful.
Beautiful. Amazing.
Inspired, creative. Yeah. Ciara will be doing some art project and she'll be showing Cohen and he'll be doing it, and they're just bonding over this incredible, place of imagination. Yeah. It's delightful, really delightful. And it always stems from, I'm bored, I don't know what to do. Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Sit with it.
Good.
Yeah.
And it's the contrast, we up, down, in, out, good, bad. If we didn't have the bad, we wouldn't appreciate and have the good. So you're bored. Oh, isn't that interesting? Isn't it great how in life we get such a mix and we get a range? We get to experience excitement and happiness, and we get to, and so resistance. All stress for human beings comes down to resistance to the way that things are.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
And so when things happen, if I go into this shouldn't be happening.
Yes.
If you have pain, most of the pain is attributed to the resistance to the pain. If you have pain and you go, oh, that's pain, that's an interesting feel, almost like it's the first time, it's this sensation, and you just witness it and you observe it and you just let it be, it'll often just fade.
Absolutely.
Emotions are the same.
Yeah.
It's our resistance to feeling them. What you resist persists.
Yes.
And so if you're resistant to seeing yellow cars on the road, and so people are focusing on what they're resistant of and to, and then they're wondering why it keeps pushing up against them. If you come home and you're reprimanding one of your kids because of something they did, and they resist you and say, "Yeah, she made me do it, Dad," you're not going to walk away. You're going to push further onto them. And so it's the resistance to the emotions and the way things are. But when we just accept that that's what's happening, and that's what I've got to work with now, what's my outcome, and then we have a very different experience.
Yes. Yes, it's so true. Gosh, and being resourceful in those moments. I'm thinking of an example with my daughter, maybe a week ago, and she was missing her mum. She was staying with me. She was missing her mum. She's very close with her mum, and she shut down, and she wouldn't want to be in the room. And I'd come in and put my hand on her. "You're right, darling. Like, do you want to talk to me?" "No, go away, please." Like, didn't know how to get through to her, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Said, "Ciara, can we try some breath work?" Thinking like that can regulate her emotions. It works well for me, works well for my son. Ciara can be very resistant to it. No. I said, "Can I pray for you or with you?" She said, "No." I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to pray anyway. I want to sit in here so that you know that you're not alone. Like, I love you and it's okay for you to feel however you're feeling. I'm going to pray for you. Before I do, we're going to light this candle. Would you like me to show you how to light it, Ciara?" And all of a sudden, piques her
Shifting
curiosity,
the focus.
right?
Shifting
Comes
the focus.
over, gets a match. I said, "Look, you got to be careful. Like, once you strike a match, the flame goes in which direction?" She's watching it. She says it goes up. I said, "That's right. So if we hold the match like this, what's going to happen? Well, it's going to burn your fingers." I said, "That's right. Do you want burnt fingers?" "Of course not. But what if we hold it straight up like this?" And showing her, I said, "Would you like to practice?" And so she's there and holding it here and strikes it, and then she'll hold it upright. But she's doing it really quick. I said, "Yeah, but we've got to leave it." Just allowing her to sit in it. "I just want to practice again, Dad. I just want to practice it again, Dad." And then did it. By the time that we actually lit the candle, she's completely
totally different state.
Totally different.
And then what most people said, wouldn't it be great if we all had fathers like you, mate? No, that wasn't a question. It would be amazing. Because most parents would come in and say, not to say that they're worse parents than you, but most people would come in and say, now, don't hold it here because you'll burn your hand. So what's a subconscious here? Hold it this way because you'll burn your hand.
Right.
So instead of telling her what to do, you're asking questions and she's coming up with the answers, which makes her more enrolled to do the thing rather than being told what to do. It's a beautiful thing.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate you saying that.
Incredible.
I don't always get it right, but I always try. And when I do, I learn and I can adapt.
That's right.
and implement that for next time. And one of the big realizations for me is having two very different children. They need to be parented completely differently.
Yeah.
My son is so much like me that everything that I think of off the bat generally resonates with him. My daughter, I was actually asked about a week ago, I was out with a friend for dinner. She said, which one of your children is your favourite?
Oh.
And an answer came straight to mind. And it was because it was easy. It was because it's easy and didn't actually reflect who my favourite is. And I sat with it for maybe 15 seconds. I said, I answered honestly. I said, my immediate response to that is Cohen. He's so much like me. I love every moment that I spend with him. I said to you in the car, just the way he looks at me as a 5-year-old boy, he looks at me like I'm his hero. Just the way he looks at me makes me strive to be a better man.
Yeah.
I adore everything I do, he wants to do with me. He's my shadow, I always joke he'd shovel soil for 12 hours in summer if it was with me, and he'd do it with a big smile on his face. Ciara's so much more challenging for me, requires me to be so much more resourceful, to grow, holds up a mirror so much for me. She helps me learn and grow as a man so much more than
just thinking
him.
that. Yeah.
So beautiful. She's such an incredible gift to me. And so who is my favourite? Neither. I love my children so much. I'm so grateful for the gift that they both bring to my life.
Yeah. That's beautiful, bro.
Thank you.
It's, people think that life is a comfort-centric experience. We're programmed to believe if you get good grades, you'll conform and get approval, and then you go to university and you can get a good job and get married and house, cars, and then you can settle down.
Yeah.
How many people have done that and are truly dissatisfied?
Yeah.
So life isn't a comfort-centric experience. It's a growth-centric experience.
Yes.
If you've got a personal trainer, you're not telling him to put the light weights on. You say, throw the weight on the bar, let's go.
Yeah, and yell at me let me grind this out.
Because we grow and evolve through adversity and difficulty. So you're actually learning to become an even greater father with a more difficult child than you are with an easier child.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean there's one that's better.
No way.
Well, it just doesn't work that way, And so when we feel emotion, going back to what we were talking about before, resistance, when we feel emotion, if you have, Cohen comes in, he's really upset, you don't go, well, just watch TV, you'll be fine, right? You don't dismiss it. So when we have an emotion we don't like, we get resistant and we get it's like we want it to go away.
Yeah.
Let's go and watch TV, leave me alone,
Yeah.
Whereas when you pick him up and you cuddle him and you let him know, because Einstein said energy is neither created nor destroyed, it's transformed.
Yes.
So you take an emotion you don't like and imagine reaching inside and giving that part of you a warm hug and accepting that emotion and speaking to it and saying, thank you for letting me know you're there. I love you. Sending it love and gratitude. And then what happens is that emotion starts to shift in its form and changes. And now it starts to move on. Energy in motion is emotion. When it gets stuck, it gets caught up, and it keeps expressing. Kind of like what you did before when you shifted the focus with the matches, and now the mind's going over here, and now the focus goes in a different way. And so it changes. The emotion starts to formulate into something different out of curiosity.
Yes.
So when we go in and we give that part of us love and we accept it for being there, and don't resist it for being there,
yes,
it very quickly starts to change form.
Yes.
And lighten up and loosen up and move on. But also emotion is created by motion. So if you don't like the way you feel, psychology, emotion, change the way you move.
Yeah.
Because then it changes your physiology. Your physiology changes your psychology. So if you don't like the way you feel, change the way you move.
Yeah.
If you were feeling down and you jumped up and did 20 star jumps.
Yeah.
It
feeling
would change the way
vastly
you feel
different.
very quickly.
Yeah. So would you say that that's a very practical step for listeners who might be feeling, you said that anxiety, there's no doubt anxiety rates have been increasing over the last couple of decades. There's no
Absolutely.
doubt. Would you say that one of the practical tools that people can use within that space is move? Shift their body, whether it's breath work, intense breath work, or
Go for
some
a walk,
exercise.
get grounded.
Yeah.
Some of the strongest things, the most effective things to do is just going outside, getting bare feet on the ground, because that lowers and regulates cortisol levels, raises immune function, creates homeostasis, a lot of other things, but also out in the sunlight, which is very powerful. Walking, cross-crawl pattern fires the corpus callosum, whole brain integration, modulates emotion. So getting out and walking. And then there's another trick that's very powerful is getting inverted. So you lie down, you get a couple of pillows under your hips. So there's a downhill to your heart, nothing under your head. It shuts down the adrenal cortex.
Right.
It's called the HPA axis. So the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal cortex. Hypothalamus alerts the pituitary gland, sends a signal to the adrenals. Cortisol, blood sugar, adrenaline. It shuts down the viscera. The viscera is where your organs, glands, digestion, immunity, all that's operating. The body, that gets sent out and shuts down to the arms and legs for fight or flight, because the nervous system's like, who cares about digestion, immunity?
Yes.
We got to deal with the stress.
Yes.
And most people are living in that stress response most of the day and night,
Right.
and they wonder why health is compromised.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you get inverted and you put your hips up a little bit, and the hips are higher than the level of the heart, what happens, and nothing under the head, your nervous system just goes into this homeostatic response. I had one lady who's a major company CEO. She was really stressed, and she remembered, and she goes, I'm going to do it. So she went into the boardroom, shut the blinds, a couple of cushions,
Cool.
lay on her back, lock the door, lay there for 5 minutes, breathing in for 3 and out for 6. When you double the exhale for the inhale, you create relaxation in the body.
Yes.
And she got up after 5 minutes, and she said to me, I had to really think for a few minutes to figure out what I was stressed about. It just pulls the plug. So there's lots of little tricks and tips that we can use, and strategies and breath work and meditation, and all those things are great, but but we don't want to be using them as a downstream intervention to address a problem that's the source of it is upstream. We want to address those emotions upstream. The work I do, we clear them so they're not there. So now, because it's very common, people will ask me for tools and strategies and ideas to help them cope with their emotions, their anxiety.
Yes.
But my response is always, I've got plenty, but how about we head upstream and we address what's causing it? Because then you won't really need a tool for something that's not there anymore. It just makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it makes total sense. So, how does one do that?
Do what?
Go upstream, pull it out.
Well,
work it out.
Years ago, I thought, you take your car to the mechanic, you want it fixed. You don't want it back with strategies and tools to cope with the problem, right? You want it fixed.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, there's got to be a way. So I found a way in my journey. So it's to completely eliminate and address the emotions upstream. It's not really that I can tell you how people can do that. That's something that I help them do, which is a game changer. It's interesting. It's really hard. People have a hard time believing it, as I said earlier, but to give you an example, a 10-year-old boy that their parents bought me, this 10-year-old boy 2 weeks ago, and he was 5 years in a row of every morning screaming and crying about going into school and it took forever.
5 years in a row.
Every day. And they brought him to me and Tuesday a week ago, and a beautiful little boy. And I collapsed his anxiety. And right towards the end of the process, he just opened his eyes and said, it's gone. He couldn't feel it.
Beautiful.
Anyway, next day they took him to school, and he ran up to his mum and gave her a hug and kiss, said, love you, mum, and ran off enthusiastically into school.
Beautiful.
And to this day, he hasn't had that come back that old. So it's a game changer.
It's completely life-changing.
Yeah. Think of the effect that's going to have on his life outside of going to school.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, just the level of energy being put into that resistance.
Oh, it's draining when you get emotional. Think how tired and draining it is.
Totally.
But even when they're not being
Absolutely.
triggered, they're still draining your energy. They're still affecting and compromising related organs and glands,
Yes.
Anxiety, worry, nervousness, stomach, spleen. This is why people with anxiety, stomach upsets.
Yes.
Tightness in the neck, overactive mind. It's because of the anxiety. It's all linked.
Yeah.
So there's all these associations with body functions and systems.
When I went through a period, the last sort of 4 years of my marriage were tough. They were tough. I had a lot of suffering at the time. I was busy pointing the finger at my ex-wife in particular, and not understanding that I created all of it. And so much of the suffering. One of the tools that I came across was Stoicism, or one of the philosophies that I came across was Stoicism. And in particular, they talk about the dichotomy of control. They just say all of life can be broken down into things you can control and things you can't.
Yeah.
And most of life you can't control. There's a tiny slither of me, what I do, how I think, how I behave, my attitude to things, like this Viktor Frankl says it so beautifully.
Answers for meaning.
Yeah, his quote about the last of the human, what is his quote? Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way.
I control the wind, but you can adjust your sails.
Right. And I found for me within that space, really recognizing how much, I didn't use the word suffering at the time, but how much stress, how much tension I felt focusing on all the things that I couldn't control.
Exactly.
And that allowed me to look at it and go, so you mean I can have shitty situation and feel all this stress and tension about it, or I can have shitty situation because I can't control the external, but I can be completely in acceptance with it and just feel free. I'm going to choose that every time. And it's not like my whole life changed in that moment, but that was the first time that I was consciously aware that I could choose my response to a situation, not control the external, control the internal. And so then that became a practice. It's still a practice, Justin.
Yeah, of course.
It's just much more well rehearsed. It's much more familiar now. So most of the time now I can tap into that so easily. Whereas when I'd first learnt it, it was very consciously looking to apply it with other tools, particularly breathwork or physiology. I got into the gym in a huge way to go, I've got all of this energy from anger and resentment, and I can either use it in this destructive way, reactive, that it's completely out of control, or I can channel it and use it in a way to move my body. And it felt so good to do it that way. I remember very specifically having this mentality to go, I felt like from the moment I opened my eyes in the morning to the moment that I shut them for years, I was in pain. And gym, particularly an extreme level of gym where it's pushing myself to the part of hurting in every exercise, that was the pain that I could choose. And so there was something empowering about that. So it's like, well, if that's the pain that you can choose, I was geared for comfort and I was choosing a lot of comfort in my life, but I didn't want it. I didn't like the results that I was getting from choosing comfort. So if that's the pain that I can choose, then run towards it. There was something so confidence building and empowering about choosing that mentality. Resourcefulness. Yeah.
So we're talking before about how you label your experience becomes your experience.
Yes.
So if you have a piece of art on the wall and you've got a timber frame around that piece of art, it presents in a certain way based on that frame. And let's say the frame is what was happening that you called a shitty situation. The image is this person hasn't rung me back. The image is the marriage is the way it was. But the frame you got around it is the meaning you give the frame. And so if you take that timber frame off that piece of art and you put on a vibrant pink frame, it's the same image, but it presents very differently.
It's so good.
So what we do is we go, oh, that person hasn't rung me back. That means they don't care about me. We slap the frame on the meaning. The story we give it is that means they don't care about me. That's what generates my emotional state. The meaning and the way I label my experience creates my biochemical response. And then I blame that. And so we can't control sometimes what the picture is that presents, but we can control the frame we put around it.
Yes.
Is this a knockout or a knockdown?
Yeah.
Is this the end or the beginning?
Yes.
Is this happening to me or for me?
Yes.
Is this in the way or is it the way?
And in that way, we choose.
We create a more empowering state. And then our subconscious innate wisdom starts to look for evidence to validate how it's that and create pathways of how to move forward. And then we create a very different result.
And all of a sudden, life can be so fucking beautiful.
And we have more control there, right? We're We're controlling our response. We're not controlling the world, because it's like saying I need to send everyone to therapy to sort their shit out, and then my life's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
And some people are listening going, that'd be great. Yeah. Do you know a good therapist?
Yeah.
So again, it's hidden in plain sight. We often in a disempowered way will label something a certain way because that's the norm or what's typical or how we've always done it. And we don't realize that then that's 100% of my experience of any event or circumstance is generated in me, by me, because of the story, the frame, the meaning I give it. So if I don't like the feeling, I gotta change the meaning, change the frame. What if this was a great opportunity? How is this an opportunity is a good question, because then your subconscious is looking for those answers. How is this a blessing in disguise or a gift in strange wrapping paper that I haven't noticed yet? How can I utilize this to experience a more compelling future?
Yes.
You'll get great insights. You know, back in the day, they used to make boats out of timber because they thought they had to, because timber floats. But then they worked out this displacement theory, right? The law of flotation. Now, the quote is that the law of flotation was not discovered via the contemplation of the sinking of things. The law of flotation was not discovered via the contemplation of the sinking of things. So they weren't in a lab studying and wanting to work out, why is that sinking? What's causing that to drop to the bottom? Why does that keep falling to the bottom? That's the sinking of things. Why does this person keep treating me that way? Why am I so fat? Why da-da-da-da? They were studying flotation. They had plywood, Besser blocks, and they were curious and questioning, how is that still floating? And then in the innate wisdom, the subconscious in the background, pardon the pun, brings up a bubble of a thought, right? And then that thought is like, and look where that's taken us in the world. And so when we're studying the sinking of things and what's wrong and what's broken and why do I keep having this happen, what's wrong with me, the brain's just going to go, well, because it's genetic, because you're lazy, because you're no good, belief systems. But then we go, how can I? And now the subconscious goes, you want to get there? It's a different drop pin, and you get different insights.
The power of intention, like you said, and
questions,
and attention, questions. Yeah. I remember hearing Tony Robbins says it. He says, if we ask ourselves what's wrong, there's always an answer. But if we ask ourselves what's going right, what can we be grateful for?
An answer.
Yeah, there's always an answer there as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Potsy, thank you so much, brother. It's
You're
always
so
such an
so
honor
much.
and such a privilege speaking with you and being in your presence. I really, really appreciate you coming on.
You're really welcome, mate. I feel exactly the same way. I could do this for hours.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm grateful, and I'm excited for you in your future. This marks the first of your podcasts, and I just want to honor you for stepping out of what wasn't aligned for you in the journey and the career you were embarking on, and to realize that you had a much bigger calling, and that you really wanted to be of service. As I text you this morning, Mother Teresa was asked, who are you? What's your mission? She said, I'm merely a paintbrush in the hand of God. And I see you that way. You're here to create, but you're here to impact, empower, and make a difference and serve humanity in such a profound way. And I can see that this is going to be hugely impactful. And I'm just thrilled and grateful for you to include me in this at all, let alone your first one. I'm so happy for you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.